Hello, my name is Mama T, and this is my very first video. I have never done a YouTube video before, but I thought, I watch a lot of them. I thought I can do that too. So this is a first for me. I am 65 years old. I'm a mother, grandmother of two. I have a dog named Oliver. He's a 60-pound standard poodle who thinks he's also a child that lives. All of those live with us. So you'll just get to join me on as I do my hair, my makeup, some cooking, some decorating, all sorts of things, but probably mostly going to focus on the makeup. I do work a full-time job during the week, Monday through Friday, so Saturdays, probably maybe some on Sunday, will be the only time I have to record. I am a Christian. We do go to church on Sunday, so that's the Lord's Day, but we'll see. So anyway, this is my first video, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to start by putting some of this Thayer's toner on my face. That helps to get any remaining makeup or any kind of oils or anything like that off of your face. I just put some on a cotton round and start swiping it over my face. It doesn't take it long till it soaks in, but that's good. I think it's been helping my face too with breakouts and that sort of thing. So I put that on. Again, that was the Thayer's toner. And I let it sit for just a minute and sort of dry in. And then next I have this collagen and hyaluronic acid that I'm going to spray on my face. It's a facial mist, and I like it so far. I haven't had it very long, but and it's pretty wet though, so you have to wait a little bit and let it sink into your skin before you go on with your moisturizer, sunscreen, or any of those things. Next, I'm going to use my moisturizer, and I'm going to use the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Lotion. I've been using this for years. I have very dry skin, so it works really well for me. If you don't have dry skin, you probably would not like this because, as I say, it's pretty strong. I wouldn't say it's not greasy, but it does. You need to have very dry skin if you're going to use the Clinique because it works really well. Like I say, I've used it for years. Then next, I have this neck cream by Strivectin. And I put some of that on my neck. It doesn't take very much, very little. And I've had this, well, just for a little while, and I really like it. I had a sample I had gotten with another product I had ordered. I'm thinking this was like $17 or something like that, but I think it works pretty good. When I had the sample, I would use just a little, so it lasted me a couple weeks, I'd say, and I could tell a difference. But once the sample ran out, I had to order some, and it took 3 to 4 weeks before I finally got it. But I really like it so far. Next, I'm going to put on some of this Neutrogena. This is a sunscreen for your face. I really like it. It also is not greasy at all. It takes a very little bit. It's just good, though, to always wear sunscreens. I previously have had to have a spot burn off my face. You can see that red spot right there. So that's from back when I was young and we went out in the sun, didn't think anything about sunscreen, never wore sunscreen. We'd wear those oils to make us burn even more. And, and today, us older ladies are paying for that. So always wear a sunscreen. Okay, now that I have all of my skincare products on, including sunscreen, which is very important, it has mostly soaked into my face. It still looks a little greasy to me, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. I have actually been using my sunscreen as my primer and not using an additional primer, even though I do have some. You'll find I do not have these very expensive products. Most of my products are considered drugstore, which really means they came from Amazon or Walmart. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start. I've been starting with my eyes because that way it gives my skincare extra time to soak in. So I'm going to go ahead and put on some of this Catrice Under Eye Brightener. I'm just going to put that, and you can see it's got like a pinkish tone to it, and I think that's is to help brighten your eyes and also to do some color correcting, if I'm not mistaken. I like it pretty good. Sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't even think about it. So there's that. So we have to let that soak in for just a minute. And while it does, I'm gonna go ahead and start on my eyes. And again, I use mostly what they consider drugstore priced makeup. I do have a Laura Geller palette that I had ordered, and when I ordered this, I got a really good deal on it, or I would not have ordered it because I don't like to spend a whole lot of money on makeup. I love makeup. When I was younger, I am now 65, but like when I was 20, in my early 20s, I loved makeup. I belonged to one of those subscription services. You may remember, it's kind of like the Ipsy boxes now that they have. But I would get certain makeup every month for a certain amount of money, and I loved it, the little samples. I don't do that now. I have considered joining one of those, but then I think, well, I'll get all these little samples, and it's going to be all this makeup, and some of it's going to be the really, excuse me, the real expensive kind that I'm not going to buy anyway, so there's no use to do that. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of coffee I have right here. This is Saturday morning. I do work a full-time job, so probably Saturdays will be the main time that I can ever record. Today I'm going to use my little Wet n Wild eyeshadow. I have been using this week. I have tried to tell myself to not mix all these different products, because even though I do buy the less expensive items, I have quite a few of different brands, and you know, like e.l.f. Physicians Formula, a few Milani here and there, and they're all inexpensive. But I thought I need to just choose some and use those for several weeks and see. First, I'm going to go in with this light color right here on the end. And I'm going to put that all over my eye. I do have hooded eyes, so I have to look down. So I just put that on there, kind of like a base. Whoops. And you know what I forgot? I forgot to use my eyeshadow primer, but that's okay. It's Saturday. I'm not going anywhere. So if my eyeshadow doesn't last, that's just fine. But I have found it's, you know, I did not use an eyeshadow primer for years and years and years. I've just recently, within, say, the past few months, started using an eyeshadow primer. I do have the Milani. I think it works really well. But like I say, that's, to me, is not something you have to have. Your eyeshadow these days is going to stay on anyway. Next, I'm going to go into a little bit of this light taupey color and put some of that on my eye. And then on the other, same color, just kind of brushing it all over. Oh, by the way, I'm using BK Beauty brushes. That is one thing that I did spend some money on. I did get the BK Beauty brushes because I think that's very important to have good brushes. I was first using the BK Beauty 203. Then I'm going to switch to the BK Beauty 205. And I'm going to go into this color. It's hard to see when you're looking at it backwards. Kind of a, I don't know, kind of pink, peachy color. I'm gonna get some of that. And one thing I've learned in doing makeup, especially here lately, you don't want to just jab into a dark color and start pressing real hard on your eyes. If you do, it will stay right where you put it. You won't be able to move it, and then you'll have to start all over. So you take some of that. And another trick I learned from watching Beauty Over 70 with Lee is you want to look straight ahead and start if you have hooded eyes. Because if we raise our eyes up and then just start, you're not going to be able to see it when we look down, because the hood is going to cover it. So you look straight ahead. And that's how we do our crease, as they call it, which it's really not, because, you know, again, we have the hooded eyes, that skin hanging down there kind of in the way. And I just keep going back a little at a time, adding more, because you can always add. Well, you can take away too, but you know, that's a lot more trouble. So it's better to start off with just a little bit. Excuse me. I'm going to go back to that first brush, back into the light color, and do underneath my eyebrows. Excuse me, I do have, I am in the South and I am having allergy issues. It's fall time, well, will be Monday, and the leaves are starting to fall, so you know, that's not good for allergies. So I'm done with the little Wet n Wild package. This was Color Icon Walking on Eggshells. That's the name of that one. And then I do take into my Laura Geller palette, and I'm going to use some of this highlight. It's actually a baked highlighter, and I'm just going to put that right on my eyelid just to kind of brighten that area. And I think that does make a difference. That, again, this is something I learned from watching YouTube videos. So I just kind of do it like that. And that's really all I'm going to use in the Laura Geller palette today. Like I say, that's my most expensive items that I have are from Laura Geller. Everything else is Amazon, Walmart, CVS, you know, a drugstore. Next, I'm going to do my eyebrows, and I do have a lot of e.l.f. products. I love e.l.f. They're inexpensive. This is the waterproof eyebrow pencil. I did originally buy the regular non-waterproof, but I like the waterproof one better. And generally, I don't use waterproof makeup, but in this I do, and I think it works really well. This is the Instant Lip. There again, getting older, can't hardly see, and I think it works well. So I'm going to take the ends off each end, and I'm going to start by just kind of using the little spoolie, which, you know, I just learned what that was. I would have called it a little brush or something, but, you know, all these makeup influencers call it a spoolie, so I will too. And then I flip it around, go to the other side, and you don't want to have a whole lot of it out because it will break. But just, I start right here on the edge. Mine are not too bad. I do have a lot of gray hairs in my eyebrows, of course, you know, being 65 years old, that's to be expected. So I just sort of go in and kind of cover up all those gray. And I do also try to put a little more arch to my eyebrow. Then you take your spoolie in and kind of blend that in so it doesn't look so stark. Do the same thing on the other eye. I start on the end. And I'm looking up in my mirror and hope this works out okay because I don't really know what I'm doing. So this is my first YouTube video ever, my first attempt. So, well, that pencil looks awful. Somebody's going to say something about that, aren't they? Let me wipe that. Let me wipe that off real quick. Well, it's still on there. Anyway, it can't be helped. I try to keep my stuff as clean as possible, but you know, it's makeup, so it is going to get on places, especially something that's brown like this. No matter how hard you try, it's going to get on there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I wish I would have arched this one up a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to put the ends back on my eyebrow pencil again. That was the e.l.f. waterproof. I love it. That's the one I've used. I have other different brands, but I like that one the best. Next, I also have another e.l.f. product, and this is the e.l.f. Brow Gel. And I like to then go over my eyes with this. It's kind of like a little mascara. It has a mascara end, as you can see. And I hope you can see any of this. You may not, I may be doing this all wrong. But I just kind of swipe over it. And if I see a lot of gray hairs, I'll kind of go backwards and then back over the right way. And you see it just adds a little more color to my brows to cover up more of those grays. Of course, I do have gray hair. I quit dyeing my hair. I decided that's just, you know, why? Why keep doing that? And I thought I'd be one of those people who always dyed their hair. I said I would be, always. I would never stop dyeing my hair. Well, guess what? A few years ago, I stopped. And you can see I've got the gray, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt a thing. Also, and then my final thing I do on my eyebrows, I go in with the e.l.f. Of course, it's upside down. The e.l.f. Brow Lift. And this is a little, it's a clear, sticky stuff. And when you take a spoolie, and I purchased these on Amazon, and you just, of course, it's straight, and I bend it this way. And you just go in there and just barely dab. It doesn't take much. And then go over the brow. And what that does, it kind of sets them even further. And for me, I have eyebrows, and you know, if you have any gray hair, you probably do too, and they want to stick straight out. So this kind of tames that down a little bit so that they're not sticking straight out. And I just think it makes it look better. Okay, I might have got a little heavy with the brown today, but that's okay too. You know, it's just makeup. It's not gonna hurt anything. And I'm gonna leave it just like it is. You just get to see how it comes out. Next thing I do is my eyelashes. Again, I'm staying away from the face right now, so that all that's the toner, the spray, collagen, the sunscreen, and all of that moisturizer can all soak in. I have plenty of time to do it. The mascara that I like, and I have tried so many mascaras. I have really short eyelashes. They're not, well, yeah, anyway, they're really short. So the mascara that I like best is from Thrive Cosmetics. This is not a drugstore priced item. I think they're like $24, maybe something like that, but it's worth it. It is a tubing mascara, so that my short little lashes, they look a lot better. First, I'm going to go in with an eyelash curler and curl my eyelashes. And I've seen different people do this. I'm going to have to look up in the mirror so I can see. And I've seen people do this thing right here. I've always just held it and kind of counted in my head to a certain number and then stop. Then I do the other. I usually do it longer than this, but you know what? I can't even tell it does anything anyway, so it really don't matter. My eyelashes are still just as straight as they ever were, even after I curl them. So that's done, and then we go in with the Thrive mascara and just start swiping that on. Again, I've seen people doing this different ways. Some people blink their eyes. That's just not something I've ever done. And you can see this being a tubing mascara, it builds up those eyelashes right away. I really like it. Like I say, I've tried different ones, but I've used this one over the years for quite some time. So you can already tell a difference between the two. I'm not going to do my bottom lashes yet because I want to put some concealer on before I do that. So I just go over and do the other eye, same way. And you can blink. There's all kind of ways you can do this, but this is just what I do. Nothing special. I am not a makeup artist. I'm just a person who loves makeup and puts it on. So that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my concealer so I can do my bottom lashes. I've been using this Well People concealer. Again, I say I don't use expensive stuff, but this stuff is not cheap. This little tube right here was like $23. But it does not take much. I just put on a little squirt on my finger. Oh, that's too much, but that's what I got. And then I rub them together and just pat it around under my eyes. And even though this is a little expensive, I love it because it's just so natural looking as compared to other under eye concealers I've used. It doesn't, you know, of course it's going to get in your wrinkles a little bit, but it doesn't do as bad as some of the others that I've used. I've tried the e.l.f., I've tried Laura Geller, different brands, Maybelline, and I really like this one the best. So, you know, if I can do it, I'm going to keep using this one. Again, I got way too much. You don't need that much, so it should last quite a while. This is my first tube. I saw another YouTuber using this, and I really like it so far. So we just put that on there, and I still have some. See, I told you, like I say, I squirted out way too much, so I'll just go ahead and stick that up here. Why not? I do have some places on my face. I have some of that Malia, I think is how you say it, and I'm trying to get rid of that. So I've been, you know, probably doing stuff I shouldn't be doing, messing with them. So anyway. Okay, so that was my under eye concealer. I'm going to go ahead and do my bottom lashes, and I am terrible at this because they are so short and sparse that I usually make a mess. Have to get a Q-tip and clean it up. I don't put much because there again, oh, and one thing I should have mentioned, I forgot, is I do have permanent eyeliner, so you will not see me use an eyeliner. That's why that was already like that. I did that several years ago. Love it, love it, love it. Wish I would have done it many years ago. That's the only tattoo that I have. I don't You know, maybe I should, but I don't really think of that as a tattoo. It's permanent makeup. So anyway, I'm going to go in with a little bit of setting powder to set that concealer under my eyes. I have a little e.l.f. Powder puff. It's a really small one that sticks right on your finger. You can just go in there and kind of pat it around. Don't want to put too much or it'll, you know, show up really bad with all those wrinkles under there. And I kind of go over my nose. And you'll notice I have not used any foundation yet. But that's next. That's coming up next. So the foundation I've been using here for the past couple weeks is this CoverGirl Simply Ageless. This is a shade 215, and I feel like this matches my skin perfectly. And you'll see why I say that here in a minute. I'm going to go in with the BK Beauty 101 brush. Love this brush. Love all the BK Beauty brushes. And I am going to wash my brushes today, so that's why I had to hurry up and get this done. So anyway, this is what it looks like. But then once you start using it, it mixes together. I think there's a little bit of sunscreen. That's what that white swirl is. But you know, after you use it a while, that kind of goes away. So you just get some on your brush. I do use a brush. You could use your fingers for years and years and years. I use my fingers. Like I said, when I was in my early 20s, I used pretty much exclusively CoverGirl. And I always, in the bottle, and I always use my fingers. You know, back then, people didn't use makeup brushes that I know of. I never heard of it, because if I had heard of it, I would have done it, that's for sure. I do have sponges, but I just find that this brush just works wonderfully. And as you can see, that is like my perfect color. You can't even hardly tell, but it covers up. And you know, that's really what a makeup should do. It should just cover up some of these spots. You don't want it to be a totally different shade from your skin. Once we go into winter, which is coming up too quickly, I may have to change to a different color, but for now, I think this works pretty good. And as you can see, I had those red spots and everything, and they're all gone now. So that's it. I just go over my face with that. Next thing I do like to use a cream contour and highlighter. Again, I have all kinds of different highlighters, but I've been using this Physicians Formula, and it's a contour on one end and a highlighter on the other end. So I just start with the contour, go over here on my cheek. They say to keep it up high, so I do. And that's what I do there. Then I have a, this brush is the brand Kingsman. I ordered this off of Amazon. It was like $3.98, something like that, and I love it because I can take the small end and blend in the contour. I'm not one of these who goes on my nose, on my neck, all that. I will swipe up a little bit in here. Then I do the other side. Try to blend that in. I might have put a little too much, but there again, it's okay. I will put a little up in here. And the only reason I do that, people do it, I think, for that sun-kissed look. I do it because I have white skin up in there that's not tan. And that way it doesn't stand out so much. So that's that. Then I take the other side of the Physicians Formula and put the blush up above it. Use the other side of this brush, the big side, and just blend that in. Again, you want to keep it up high. That's what they say, that it helps to pull your face up because as we get older, everything goes down. We all know that. It's nothing new. So we just want to blend that all in. And that's that. Okay. Then I have some of the Wet n Wild loose powder. I just pour some in the lid because it is, I mean, it just flies everywhere. It doesn't take much. Then I take the BK Beauty powder brush 102. It's a great big brush. And just kind of tap it in there. You can see it goes flying everywhere. And it's just to kind of set. And it's also a pink color, which again, just like with the Catrice under eye, the pink is supposed to be a color correcting color for, I guess, my color skin anyway. One thing I've learned is to try to stay away from my eyebrows. I've made the mistake of swiping over them, and then they have a white look to them, and I don't want that. I just covered up those white hairs, so why do I want to go back and make them white again? Any that's left over in the lid, I just tap it back into the container. And this should last a really long time, and it was not very expensive at all. Another Laura Geller product I have that I purchased, I think I got this one off of QVC, and it's the Baked Blush and Glow Trio, it says. I don't know why it says trio, because there's 2 colors, not 3. So I kind of go in with the BK Beauty 104 brush. I go on the highlighter side, put a little up here, a little on the other side. Can't really tell it. I don't use a lot. I don't want it to be real shiny. Then I just kind of swirl around in all of it and go over my cheeks. Again, I used the cream, and now I'm using a powder over it. And I think we're just about done. The last thing I do, of course, will be my lips. I have been enjoying this e.l.f. lip plumping gloss. This color is, if I can read it, I will tell you. I don't think I can. No, there's no way I can read that little writing, so I'm just going to say it's a really pretty color. If I remember, I will list what the color is. And I have a Wet n Wild lip liner. And this is the waterproof gel lip liner. Perfect Pout. Lay Down the Mauves is the name of this. Again, you don't want to roll out too much because it will break. And I don't have a lot of lip on top. See there, I messed up. That's all right. We just keep going. We're not going to worry about that. Do the other side. And the bottom. And you see, I don't take a lot of time messing with this. I just do it. Keep going. I'm going to put on some... No, we're just going to go straight. Normally I would put on some lipstick, but I don't have it over here, so we're not going to. I'm going to just go in with the gloss. I really like this e.l.f. lip plumping gloss. You will feel it, it don't really sting, like I've heard some people talk about glosses, the lip plumping glosses doing that. It just kind of has a cool feeling to it, and I really like it. So that's pretty well it. I'm going to spray on some setting spray, and that'll be that. Which, of course, I forgot to bring over here, so I've got to grab it. This is the Matte Fix Plus, and it's in the coconut scent. This is pretty expensive. It's like $30 a bottle. However, Walmart had this one on sale for a really good deal, and I went ahead and got it. So I just take that and spray all over my face. It feels really good, and as you can see, I use quite a bit. My face looks really wet, but that's okay. It will soak right in. And another thing I had purchased is a little fan to make it dry quicker, because that is such a wet product. I ordered this off of Amazon when it was on sale, but you just flip the little switch on, and it's got a thing here where you can speed it up. I've seen people use those handheld fans, like the paper ones. That would work just perfectly fine too. I have one of those somewhere. I just don't know where it is. And I just kind of go over my face. Or I just let it dry by itself. It doesn't hurt anything. And I'm finished. That's it. That's all I have to do. And so I hope you've enjoyed my first video here on YouTube. And I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.